Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, for those who doesn't know me, my name is Baki Adewale Musa. I am the product manager and founder of DeanMinder. So, today I want to talk about growth, not as marketing, not as hack, or not as luck, but as product discipline. Because here's the truth: growth is what happened after you build. It's not just about what happened after you build. Growth is what you design from the day one. Even as little as choosing a product name, it's part of what makes a product successful. So if you're a product manager or aspiring one, you must understand that metrics, experimentation, SEO, ASO are not just marketing tools. They are they are product levers. And if you don't treat them as product level, someone else or your audience take that, might treat that, they might divine that as a product growth. So before we talk about dashboard, A/B testing, or App Store keyword optimization, we need to talk about clarity as a product manager. Most teams fail at growth because they are not clear on what are we really trying to optimize for. Are we trying to optimize for downloads, daily active users, revenue, retention, or engagement depth? What are we really trying to optimize for? This will lead us onto how we go for our growth. Because if we optimize for the wrong metrics, you end up growing the wrong thing. I learned this the hard way when I was building DeanMinder because we're prioritizing different engagements, whereas we should be focusing on different growths. So in product management, growth begins with intentionality. You need to be intentional about what you really need to grow. For example, in a consumer app, optimizing for install might hurt your retention, or optimizing for section time might hurt your monetization, or optimizing for ads might hurt your trust, because if you display too much ad, you're trying to optimize to have more ad at the taste of the audience. You might lost the audience trust. So growth is not all about increasing the number of retention, increasing the number of install, or increasing numbers. It's all about increasing the right number. I can't overemphasize this. You need to make sure you are not just working abstractly, just trying to increase number generally. You need to ensure you are increasing the right number. Is it the reach, the website clicks, the view engagement? You need to make sure you're working on the right track. Making sure, okay, this is what we're working on and you're on the right track, not just increasing number generally. So let's talk about metrics, real product metrics, not vanity metrics, because a lot of time as product manager, we just say, okay, we're increasing number, we're having good engagement, we're having good number of installs. Are those metrics, are they converting into reasonable data that are beneficial to the business? Because in product growth, we focus more on acquisition, activation, engagement, retention. We just combine all these. But which of these metrics do we really need at certain time of our product stage? So here is what I've learned. Growth problems are often retention problem, and they disguise as acquisition problem. Because most time we say, okay, we're not growing, this product is not it's not getting the right results which we really intend to. Okay, the users are not engaging a lot with the product, or the retention rate is too low. But the main problem which are really facing is acquisition. And this may disguise as an example. Maybe we're running ad, and users have seen a particular user have seen an ad about 2-3 times, and it's not captivating enough. So we're looking at, okay, we're unable to attract this user, whereas the main problem is that we're unable to acquire this user, maybe because of they've tried so thing and they're unable to download, or for whatsoever reason it might be. So if a user don't stay, SEO ad, they end up becoming more expensive than we really think we have a budget for. So our job as a product manager It's not to just collect metrics. Our job is to what? Interpret those metrics into valuable insights that we can use to grow our product. So your metrics will not show what your product. You as a product manager, you must be able to answer. Okay, from these metrics, we can be able to deduce why is so thing happening. Why are we not getting enough retention? Why are we not getting enough customer? Why are customer dropping off at so stage of this product life cycle? So here is what I've on this. Because of this is why I always love to experiment things. Okay, why are users dropping off at this stage? Because many teams will say, okay, we're experimenting different things to get different results. However, is this experimentation, is it really working well? Because we need to make sure, okay, our assumption, is it aligning with the evidence we're having? Okay, now from our data we have, it shows users are dropping off at maybe when they add to carts, as an example. And then we try to work on our add to cart, and then we push for updates. After pushing for updates, is our assumption, is it validated with the action we've taken? So all this needs to synchronize with each other. So this, which is why we need to make sure we are experimenting right. Experimentation is not about just changing the color of button or launching a new feature because our competitor have done that, or running an A/B test on our ad just to make sure, just to come up with, just to make sure, okay, we validate our assumption. No, we need to ensure, is this aligning with the data we're receiving? And the data as well, we need to validate the data. Okay, is it because of the color of maybe the add to cart button? Is that why our users are dropping off? Is it because users are unable to click on the button? Is that why? Or is it because of the resolution when users are on mobile? Is that why they are dropping off, that they are not progressing to the purchase? So we need to be able to validate all these. So true experimentation require a clear hypothesis. If we do so and so, will XYZ improve? That's a clear one. And divining success, okay, if that happens, then users, there should be an increase in purchase, or there should be an increase in the amount of add to cart, or there should be an increase in the general usage of our products from a particular region, depending on the metrics or what we're trying to achieve. So we need to be able to divine all these success metrics on our own. And finally, we also need to be able to decide, okay, this particular test, will it last a week? At what point will we be able to decide, okay, we need to scale now, or we need to iterate now, or we need to kill a particular campaign, or even a feature if required? So all these are very, very important. So let's talk about SEO and ASO as a product level. SEO, for those who doesn't know, SEO means search engine optimization, and ASO means app store optimization. SEO and ASO, they are often being treated as marketing tactics, which I agree with. But what we also need to understand is that they are signal for our market demand. There are also signals for users' intent and product clarity, because when doing SEO, we need to understand, okay, what are users searching for? What users are searching for, it gives us an insight into, it gives us clarity into what users really need. And it also gives us an insight into the volume of users, the amount of users that are potential customer or potential users of this particular feature. So all this will give us an insight. Same with App Store optimization. When we do our research, competitor analysis, and all that, it will give us an insight into, okay, what is the market size of this particular feature, or this market size of this product we're about to work on. So you need to understand the search behavior for you to understand all this demand and all that. So when users search, it reviews the language which they're searching with, or how they construct their language when searching. This will give you the opportunity to optimize your product for their language. Same, it will give you an opportunity to understand their pain points. Because if a user search, okay, how to fix my nail within 10 minutes, this will give you an insight. Okay, this user is trying to fix their nail, but they don't have enough time. They don't have much time to do this. However, it can even give you the pain point that, okay, this particular user, money is not a problem. They just want to make sure they don't sit for too long when fixing this. So all this will give you an insight into users' expectation, their pain point, the language which they use. So for example, now, if people search for, I will use DeepMinder product as an example. If users search for Islamic quiz app more than Islamic learning app, this shows you that users are just willing to take quizzes which are more interactive. Why? So why interacting with the quiz they learn, and it's also interactive. But for like a learning app, they just sit down. It might be boring and all that. So this will give you an insight. This will tell you something about the pain point and expectation of the users which your products are for as a product manager. And your job as product manager is to ensure you fulfill all these expectations. So SEO inform you of how to name a product. If a product is meant for Gen Z, as an example, you need to be able to use a name that resonates with the audience. You need to be able to resonate the content of your landing page. You need to be able to resonate with your audience. Your value proposition, you need to frame it in a way to resonate with your audience. So the content, the roadmap, the keyword optimization, and all this, you need to be able to make sure you optimize it for your audience. So SEO will give you all this. So users' keyword will be treated as an insight, because it will give you an insight on how, on the demography of, like a user personnel, to give a user personnel of who your audience really are. So moving on to mobile app. In mobile products, ASO is very important, because this is where your primary keyword align with your core value proposition. You need to make sure, okay, the products you're pushing, does it include your main keyword, or at least the subtitle include your main keyword? This is how you can optimize when launching a mobile app, because your primary keyword needs to align with your value. If your app solves, as an example, if it solves daily prayer needs, you need to provide a name that resonates with that audience, that once the audience sees the name, they can say, oh, this is what this product is all about. So this should not be a guesswork. You need to make your research. What's the search volume, competitor analysis, ranking, and audits? You need to make sure, okay, you've done all your work as regard that. Because if you don't do that, one thing about App Store optimization is that if you don't do that, if you don't work on your title, subtitle, your screenshot as well is very important. Make sure your screenshot resonates with each of the feature you have on your product. Let's assume you have a product that include quiz as an example, which we cited earlier. If your product include a quiz, you need to make sure that quiz is part of the screenshot that is on your App Store optimization. The screenshot there, it has to be there. Make sure it is there so that you can optimize better. Because once a user, once they search for a product, one of the things they majorly see in all App Store, Google and Apple, what they see first is the screenshots. That gives them like a snippet into what your product really are. So if your product solves their intent, what they really want, definitely they will download. But if not, they will just move on onto other competitors. So you need to look into this. And your rating as well. Users look at rating and your review to determine the success of an app. It's really important. What's your rating saying? What are users? What is the user's review about your product? This will also what push your product up, because a user will not want to download an app that is 1%. I mean, 1 star. When they see a product that is 5 star, they won't want to do that. So all these are very important, and you can achieve good rating by what? Providing a product that is tailored to your audience. So as product manager, you can't just ignore ASO, App Store optimization, especially if your product is a mobile app as well. You need to have an understanding of how to optimize your product. for this particular one as well. So when it comes to product growth, one important thing about product-led growth is that product itself derive acquisition, activation, and retention. If a product itself, if it's able to drive acquisition, activation, and retention, definitely the success rate will be very high. Because ask yourself, does the product create shareable moments? Does your product educate user? Does your product naturally brings user back? So if your product does all these, that is, users engage with it, they're able to interact with it, they're coming back, that's an indication that your product would likely be more successful. Does users of your product, would they naturally invite others to use your product? Yes, a product should necessarily do it, because let's set an example of someone searching for an Islamic quiz, and they were able to find one and they enjoy it. It's very interactive. They are likely to share it with their friends and family. So that way, you're organically generating more users naturally without you promoting. So your product must be able to achieve all this on its own, because SEO can bring SEO and app store optimization. They can bring you user. Same with ASO, and experimentation can also bring you, an ad can bring you all this. But the product itself, it needs to deliver the value. If SEO brings you users and ASO, they bring you user, but your app, your product is not delivering the actual value it needs to deliver. Trust me, there will be a lot of bounce rates. There will be a lot of uninstall and all that. So your products must deliver the value which you've promised the user, because you promised them something, which is why they're using the product. So if it's unable to deliver that particular feature, definitely there will be a problem, which is why I'm saying, for every product you push out, ensure it delivers the value which you've said it's going to deliver. So I would love to end this with something very important. So growth without clarity is very dangerous, because if we grow the wrong audience, or grow for the wrong reason, or grow using wrong incentive, definitely we are creating instability for that product. Let's set an example of a product. Let's say it's a finance product, maybe a banking product, and our main priority is, okay, if users send payments to the wrong accounts, they can retrieve it. That's our core value proposition. And unfortunately, when users have issue for the first time, they are unable to claim their money back. That's a big problem, because that will be a huge trade-off for user. And that particular user is likely to start negatively promoting your products to other customers. So we need to ensure whatever core value proposition we're proposing to our users, we need to ensure it really does what we promise it does. Because if we're acquiring wrong audience, for the wrong reason, or for the wrong incentive, trust me, it wouldn't last long. And as product manager, we must ask, does this growth align with the product mission? Let's set an example of a product which our primary purpose is to acquire customers or users who are willing to subscribe. If that's the case, we won't be looking at engagement rate for much. We'll be looking at purchase. How many users are clicking on the subscription button? How many users are adding to carts? How many users are going for the purchase? But view and all other metrics will be less relevant to us, because our main purpose is to ensure users are subscribing. Although they are also important, but the importance will class on it. They won't be as important as someone who adds or metrics like add to cart, or metrics like the purchase, and other important metrics for particular products. So because increasing numbers without a purpose can easily ruin a product reputation. That's one of the things. If you are just increasing metrics, you're just increasing the number of users randomly, not users that are willing to pay, you can ruin your trust and your reputation. Because if you're targeting audience that do not have the financial capacity to pay for your product, at the end of the day, you might start seeing users giving you negative review that, okay, your product is too expensive and all that, because you're targeting the wrong audience. You're just trying to increase number, trying to increase your installs, trying to increase your engagement and all that, whereas you should be targeting a different audience, different from that. So targeting, just as a product manager, so just trying to increase number, increase view, increase install and all that, they are not okay, because they can ruin a company reputation and give you negative review from your users, and that might deter your actual customers. So purpose-driven growth lasts, and manipulative growth just for the number, it's not something a product manager should be doing. So one thing I want you to remember from this section is that data does not grow products. It's your decision as a product manager to interpret this data. Is it a data which is beneficial to us? Is it a data that will help our business? Your ability to be able to interpret all this data is what really matter as a product manager. So your data does not go to real product. If you have 1 million likes, 1 million visits, if it doesn't interpret to value for the business, that's not growth. Because growth has to be intentional. You need to be intentional. Okay, which are the audience that we need for our product? What metrics do we need to be looking at? What do we need to experiment? How do we position ourselves in our SEO and our ASO? How do we position ourselves? So we need to make sure we are on track and intentional with all these questions. We need to ask ourselves all this, because clarity defines you as a product manager. As a product manager, you need to be clear about what you're doing with your product, how you're going about your marketing, how you're going about your creative design as well. It's included. You need to liaise with the creative department as well. So you need to position your product in a way that you're clear and you're intentional about everything you do. So the key takeaway from this today is that, data-driven growth is intentional. You need to be intentional about everything you do. Growth starts with clarity. You need to be clear. Retention is not real growth. So experimentation is discipline, not guessing. ASO, and all that, they are product strategy, not just marketing tactics. So we need to be intentional. That's the main thing I want you to take away from this section today. And thank you so much for having me